everybody. I'm doing the bobblehead thing. Yeah, I can't help it. I hear the music and I'm like, duh. You guys see back, Jeff's in the back. We're like, yeah, what's up, man? Yeah, watch. It dun.
My kids don't realize I used to be cool and went to concerts and stuff.
Right. So yeah, it is Tuesday, February 21st, and we're here. And James Vaughn, I'm holding up a finger under the desk. Can you guess which one? Uh, uh,
You're
uh,
number one. You're
uh.
number one, James Vaughn.
However, Craig Hutchinson was the first post today. Just gonna throw it out there in case anyone
Yeah,
is wondering.
yeah. So Sean Holloway, aka Bear Hunter,
Right,
dropped the ball. He was actually on the phone with us. We were talking business while Charlie was putting the post up, and he wanted to be number one. We told him exactly when this thing went up, and
right.
he still didn't make it. So shame on you, Sean. Shame on you. He might have
He's
been
probably
busy
not
though.
even
I don't know.
watching right now. He's like, screw it. I couldn't be first. I'm out. Brian Jess, good to see you. James Vaughn, I see you. I'm gonna go back, scroll up. We had Craig Hudson up in there. James Vaughn, Jonah Green, I see you, sir. Matthew Nissen, welcome. Brian Jess, looked like he had a good week. Look at that. Let's see. Where's my W2 Alan Becker? Hello,
That's a good question, actually.
right? Gregory Spears, hello, good to see you. Life on 18 Wheels, welcome. Matt Nimke, I see you, sir. Our guest is just popping in. We will pull him up here in just a second. James Vaughn, I said. Mike Anderson, good to see you, buddy. So, yeah, if anyone wants to call in, there's a number scrolling across the bottom of the screen. We're going to skip the fuel surcharge for now, the actual report that we do. I'm going to throw it up on the ticker so you can see it scrolling in case you're really worried about it. I know I put it out earlier. Some people may have seen that, but you know what? You know who we have. I need to get rid of this. I don't know how to click on buttons because I'm not a smart man today. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Brett Stewart in gray. Why is Brett Stewart gray?
You tell me, my man. I'm feeling
Dude,
gray today.
dude, your face is blue. I don't know what's going on with your camera, man.
I'm not even smart enough to do this. I don't know how
This
that
is
occurred.
pretty
You guys are
amazing. I'm
messing
going
with
to
me.
say that you are an alien, and I like it. I mean, that's cool.
Take me to your leader.
You,
Beep, boop.
yeah. Nope, that didn't do it. I don't know
That's
what's
weird.
happening. This is
Integrated
going to throw
standard.
my
Let's
brain
go
into
full def.
craziness.
People are digging it though, Brett.
There
Apparently,
you
they think you went
go.
vintage. There.
Oh my
Boy,
god, dude!
let me take you
were
back in
blue.
time.
You were
I was
straight
just,
blue,
gray and gray. I just figured it was just
right?
graying out everything, but no, I just needed to go high def with the camera.
That was freaking me out a little bit,
Yeah,
man. Not gonna
you
lie.
and me both, my
I was
man.
like, what is happening here? Look, for anybody who doesn't know, that's Brett
What?
Stewart, the VP of the owner operator division. He's a sucker and told me to put his phone number up there a long time ago. So it's there if you ever want to call him.
Yes.
Today might not be a great day. Tomorrow, maybe not. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there in the world. I know you guys have had a hell
No,
of a
it's
time.
not a secret. I mean, y'all pay my paycheck, so I should be available for you, right?
So what I'm gonna need from you, Brett, is inappropriate to say live on. Never mind. I'm just playing, man. God, Jeff looked at me
I
like,
would
"Oh, here we
expect
go."
nothing different.
So yeah. So look, let's dive into it. You guys are getting hammered over this $25 thing. Let's face it, that's the elephant in the room. Let's slay the beast. What's going on, man?
Well, first I want to say what's up to James Vaughn. If he's in
Oh, right,
Phoenix, stop by, say
right.
what's up. I'm in building number 10. I'll be here. So that's a old flatbed friend of mine. It'll be good to see him. And hello to everyone else as well. We got a lot of folks on here.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah,
they're popping in.
nice. Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. Jeff, where are you at?
I'm just south of Nashville right now.
Look.
It looks like you're in like a single wide or something with a
It's my
That's
truck,
his,
man.
that's his
You
truck.
haven't seen my truck yet. You know,
uh-uh.
I was in Phoenix on Thursday and Friday. If you had just been at work, you could have seen my new. You
Go
could have seen
anyone?
my new
Oh,
my remodel. I got a full blown studio in here now.
too good for you.
Dude, his chair is like the chair I'm sitting in now.
Yep.
at home.
Got a
in
gaming
his
chair.
freaking truck.
You just sleep in the chair?
No, top bunk.
Oh, nice.
He's got like a
Yeah.
full blown office under the bunk. It's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got to check that out next time you come by. Sorry, I was in Rocky Point enjoying the beach with my family, but
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm back and I survived. By the way, it's not scary. Go down.
Right?
Hey, ya, Rosie.
Look at it.
I
look
miss
at
her.
I love that woman. I
Yeah,
don't
she's
even know.
amazing.
She's rocking a new shirt. We got some of our contractor corner shirts made. She's like walking around in a pink one right now. It's super bright. She's
Stand
like,
up a little bit.
"Whoa!"
Stand up a little bit,
Nice.
Charlie. You've got one on.
Heck yeah. I'm a
Got one with
medium
the
if you
t-shirts
want
for
to
now. Just saying.
send me one out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Gotcha.
I'll do it. I'll make it happen soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch
And for those
there's
of
one
you
of our
who
new
don't
guys.
know, Brett probably doesn't know that our logo design and everything was done by my wife. So
True story.
Nice.
She's our
This is
marketer.
Morton coming through.
Oh, watch. Here it comes. Here it comes. It's gonna happen.
Bum ba da bum. Yay. She's got her name on hers. That's awesome.
yeah.
Well deserved.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Get the hell out of here now. People trying to work, men folk doing stuff. I'm gonna get hit for that one later.
Yeah, you will.
It's
You got
okay.
your stogie?
I've got one going.
Sweet.
the only reason he left
the
only reason he left his single wide today was to go get more stogies.
You know what? You shut
That's
your mouth.
awesome. So when I was in Rocky Point, I like to smoke a cigar here and there, and I wanted to get a Cohiba.
Okay.
And this is what's been changed. So back in the day, it would be like, hey, $5 and you can negotiate to like $2.
no.
They're starting at like $25 now. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if this is legit. Like, I'm not going to pay that much for a stove. I was able to talk her down to 15, but still.
Yeah, you're right about the normal market price here, I guess.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 12 and 15 for a Cohiba. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't smoke those every day.
Yeah, for sure. But when in Rome, I mean, I didn't complain,
Right.
but
No doubt.
felt like I got robbed. You want to go there and negotiate and get a better deal, but it's
Right.
just not the same anymore.
They are like, no, we're starting way above what you thought.
Yeah, we're gonna start too high and then
Oh,
talk
yeah.
you down into still making a lot of money.
But yeah,
Tennessee
so-
Trucking says Swift's making those gangster moves. I like that.
Right. That's one of
Yeah.
our new contractors. He came in from the outside. Cool guy. Really liking him. First name Matt. And I dig that guy. Like we've
Yeah.
had some really intelligent conversations.
Yeah, he actually came off the spot market and leased a truck with Swift.
Nice.
So we've been doing a little learning from him and stuff like that.
I think it might have had something to do with what you and I were talking about earlier, Brett, with the price of operation out there. Run your own
Right.
authority is just insane right now.
Yeah.
That I was going to mention later, but since we have more time, the DAT report this week, they were saying that independents, according to ATBS, which we have issues with them, but they have 20,000 clients.
Data.
So their data is good. And they were saying that independents are up to $1.63 a mile right now in operating costs.
Yeah.
So they're paying in operating costs almost what our contract rate is, including surcharge.
Right.
And that made sense a year ago when the spot market was yielding $4 a mile or
Right.
whatever it got up to. But now it comes back down to $2.20 a mile. So you're netting 60 cents, and $1.63 is probably a high side, but it could, I'm sure that's happening out there, just looking at fuel and everything else as far as the business is concerned. But y'all want to talk about insurance?
Yeah, because they're chomping, man. They're chomping.
Yeah.
Their people
So
are upset. They don't understand it.
I just want to put out there that this thing with the $25 a week to take care of the mistake, Charlie and I are beside ourselves at how people have lost their minds on this. So let's get into that a little bit. It's $25 a week is what you guys are going to be doing, right? To get us all caught up.
Yeah, and so everyone's aware of the why behind that. So the insurance company changed their rates from 4% to 6% effective on January 1st. The mistake was made from Swift, where we did not implement that change. Now, lo and behold, TransStar was invoicing us the whole time, and we were paying those additional premiums to TransStar. So we were out that money because of the direct deduct from the settlement. Now, that 6% again should have been implemented. That's what it was from the beginning. Unfortunately, that didn't occur, and the error was corrected on March 8th. And so we're going back from March 8th to January 1st and deciding what is that difference owed by owner. And that difference is going to be deducted at $25 a week until it's completely reimbursed. So it's going to be different based upon each one of, your truck values. So
Right. Is there a way
That's
they can
why.
figure out exactly what that number is
yeah,
if they don't
So-
want to do the math themselves?
100%. Yeah. So take out your Schedule A, which is in your lease agreement, and look at your stipulated loss value. And the very first week of your stipulated loss is the value that the insurance is assuming on your tractor today. So it'd be 6% of the first stipulated loss amount. That makes sense. So Schedule A, you're going to have your stipulated loss value schedule. It's going to break it out week by week as far as what is the value of your tractor over week, and it's the very first one.
Can I actually challenge you on that?
Yeah.
Not to be a total pain in the ass. That is not how my insurance rate was calculated by TransStar, Chubace, whomever.
Yeah.
They told me that they didn't care about the stipulated loss value. The initial value of the truck was 155 and some change. They added 15%, which gave me a insured value of 178,250, whereas my stipulated loss value was 203.
203.
Yes, sir. I saw that
Right.
face. That's our world, brother. That's where we're at with these shining new ones.
I'm
So,
going to
just so you're aware that
yeah,
that is
that's
where they're
fine. But
doing.
as we're talking, I'm going to pull up your stipulated loss value and see
Yeah.
what we're talking about here.
No, I dig it, and it's interesting. I mean, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could even tell you what my stipulated loss value is right this minute because I'm that dude.
You're that guy.
I am. You
So
ready for this?
that's the way that it should be pulling. Let me pull this up here.
I can tell you my stipulated loss value right this minute. What are we in? As of 3/25/23, my SLV is 190,599, and I was never insured for that value. Not even close. The highest value I was ever insured for was 178,250, and that was the sale price 155 plus 15%. I learned that. I did a lot of learning when we were looking for other insurance. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah, you all did your due diligence, which is awesome. So I'll look at that and verify that when we met
Cool.
with TransStar and we audited each owner's contract and their lease agreement, that was the understanding from that conversation. I
Okay.
don't know if that was because you had a brand spanking new truck and the ones we were looking at were different, but
Right.
I will definitely reply back to the both of you what I find out from that.
Cool.
But yeah,
And
that's
go
some
ahead,
of the
I'm sorry.
why behind that weekly charge. And so we can let you know, obviously, the amount total and when that will be completed. So you can know when that's going to come off your settlement. And I also wanted to give an update on the outward facing camera systems because there's been a lot of questions around
Yeah.
that. If I can.
Yep.
So for those that are opting to stay with TransStar, then because remember you have two options. You can stay with TransStar. They are requiring that you have an outward facing camera, and there's four
Right.
options to choose from. That's Samsara, Lytx, Netrodyne, and Smart Drive.
Right.
Now we're going to have inventory of Smart Drive and Netrodyne. The Netrodyne systems have been shipped out this week, and they will arrive next week in Phoenix,
Good.
Memphis, and Greer.
Okay.
Now we did an initial order of 500, and so those are being dispersed at those three locations, and they're going to be available next week. We are then going to take a few units from each one of those locations and send them to other locations. So if you're an owner on the call today and you're like, hey, that's great, but I'm in West Valley City, Utah, and I
Right.
only run the Northwest, we're going to get you some there. So stay tuned. We did extend the date until May 1st. Actually, TransStar allowed that to happen just because of the delays we've been having with the
Right.
manufacturers.
Okay.
So that's been announced. And we are not planning to have any sort of hold or cancellation of contract and things like that on May 1st. Now, what's going to happen though, in April, we're going to get down to the smaller amounts of these 100 owners still have not elected another insurance provider, and they also have not installed an outward facing approved camera system.
Right.
So now we need to call and have the conversation. Hey, what's the plan? What can we help you with? That kind of thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So please don't feel as if like, oh my gosh, that's
And-
not a very long runway.
And that
then
was a
what?
very valid concern. Because I know I thought it too. Come April 1st, we don't have that camera and haven't swapped insurance. Like Jeff is trying to switch over to the insurance program we went to, and he can't because he's got a pending
I've got an open claim right now.
right, and because of that he can't switch. And he's like, I don't want daggone camera, man. What's going to happen on the first?
Hey, I'm on record, Brett. I will lease a brand new truck and pay for the other insurance before I'll put a camera in my truck. That's how strongly I feel.
You're right.
Yeah.
And
so,
I have a question if you know this. So
But let me ask you. You have a camera in your tractor, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
His
I'm
own
an idiot.
Yes.
I just wanted, just in case someone's joining just now, Jeff is not opposed to cameras.
Correct.
Everyone should have
we are
a
not
camera.
anti-camera.
It's kind of a crappy camera that I plan on upgrading soon. But yeah, I do have a camera. So my question is on the Netrodyne, because that's one of the ones that guys are like, hey, that's a pretty nice system. It's not smart drive. The question I have, though, let's say a guy decides, I'm just going to get the Netrodyne for now, and I'll deal with the insurance question and rates and all that confusing stuff later. But then they decide that they're going to go to OIDA or Seabright. Do they then own that camera and they just kill Swift's access to it then?
Mm-hmm.
Or do they have to turn that back in? What's the deal on that? Do we actually own that camera? Because that is a nice camera.
Yeah. No, great question. Yeah. So the answer is yes. If you purchase a Netrodyne camera through Swift and have it installed at one of our approved shops, the camera is yours. It's $500, and then it's a $200 install charge. And then, like I mentioned, the camera would be yours. What's going to happen is you're going to be the owner and primary user of that account, and you're going to provide Swift access to that system. So it's you own it, we're getting access to it, not the other way around. Okay. So if you elect later to disconnect it, or you go like you just mentioned in that example, you're free to do that.
Okay.
Is that the same case with the smart drive with those guys that are on that too at this point?
Yep.
Oh,
you already have it.
If you have it and have purchased it. Now, if you're an owner operator on the call today and you have a smart drive system already and you're going to retain that, there's not going to be any charge for install. Obviously, it's already installed. And then if you want to purchase that and make it your own, we'll absolutely can submit an invoice for $500. You can make that payment, and then we can swap subscriptions.
Gotcha.
Okay. Because I can see several scenarios. Maybe a guy pays his truck off and he decides to go get his own authority. Again, they're nice cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to know that we own them and we could do that.
Yep. The thing to keep in mind though too is by keeping it at Swift as well, we will take care of the subscription costs per week. And so that gets heavy, right? I think they're anywhere from $20 to $30 for the subscription costs per unit. So
I think everybody that's actually that are installing the Netrodynes from Netrodyne directly themselves, I believe it's right around $1,500. You're not actually purchasing the equipment; you're paying for a 3-year service agreement.
Yeah.
So
and you don't.
There's good and bad with that, of course. Right, and you don't own the camera. So but I guess if the camera breaks, they replace it. It's not your camera; it's their camera. They got to fix it. So I mean, there's good and bad, of course. Brian just asked, "Hey, I just want to pay off this insurance in full this week and put it behind me. It's fine. I just wasn't happy with how the entire thing was handled from the beginning. So can he just go in and say, hey, what's my number? Can I pay it, pull it out of my maintenance?
Yes. Yeah, great point. Yeah, and apologies, Brian, and everyone else. We know it was messed, the error was ours and we're owning it. We apologize for that. And I understand the frustration.
Hey, look, I've been on record saying this already with several people individually, but look, you guys said, hey, we messed up. Our bad. Here's what we're going to do to fix it. The money is still owed. We were all notified back in October, November, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of us didn't understand it. We flat out did not understand it. Like we didn't understand the 4% to 6% thing, right? We thought, we're just going up to 6. It's not going to be more than 6% of an increase over what we're paying now. Whole different world, different ball game. Mine was, $200 a difference or something like that. I mean, it was crazy, or $70 a difference a week. And so I was like, oh my God, right? But then, but then you guys said, okay, our bad. We forgot to bill you guys for it. We've been paying it all along. We forgot to bill you. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to say, hey, $25 a week till you're caught back up. Right now, I will say that if Swift owed me money, right? Like you would think it happens. I mean, sometimes settlements get screwed up. And then I'm like, well, you owe me that money, so I want it next week, right? I want it all next week.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not going to let you look. I'm not going to volunteer to say, hey, Swift, just go ahead and pay me back $25 a week. I'm cool with that. For
Yeah.
$1,000 you owe me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really think people need to look at that from that perspective. And so, I mean, I get that people were pissed off. They're like, because they didn't understand what happened. I think that you coming on and talking about it and trying to explain exactly what happened and the fact that, Swift is owning, hey, we screwed up. We
Yeah.
made a mistake, but it still is the dollar figure that needs to be made up.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and just so you all know where I stand as well, like I'm a huge proponent of independence, and so when we have these discussions and you're all looking for outside insurance options and you're looking
Right.
for different opportunities, you're only building your independence, and that to me is even a better business owner. Now, for
Right.
those of you that doesn't work for you, that's why there's options to not
Right.
go that route as well. And so
Right.
what I'm saying is there's no right or wrong. It's just that don't see me as someone that's sitting here like, oh no one should go get other outside insurance. I mean, I've been a proponent as well of getting your own fuel card, right? We've talked about the programs, and Charlie and Jeff have spoken about those as well. And so financially, if you can do those things that only further your independence and
Right.
better your business, then do that. So
Yeah.
And Mike's
And
kind
you
of
know,
chiming in as along there. He
one
said,
one of the things we've been preaching recently, Brett, along those lines is we love being more independent. We love that as business owners. But make no mistake, and I can't stress this enough, if you choose an outside insurance company, put your big boy pants on. You're going to owe them
mm-hmm.
something on the first of every single month out of pocket. There's no payroll deduct. There's none of that.
Right.
One of the things that we've always liked about Swift is that you guys have our backs on some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
With the insurance program and the payroll deduct, it's a convenience thing. I don't have to worry about crap. My truck was broken for 3 months. I can't afford my insurance.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's a thing to consider when you're doing this.
Yeah.
Independence
Settlement
great.
deduction is a benefit, sure.
Independence is great, but it comes at a cost.
Yeah.
I
And
think
Mike
it's worth the
Henderson,
cost.
Mike
But
Henderson said, this is better than when they did the fuel card problem. And we had a fuel card problem back in the day where they had inadvertently not charged us for fuel. And they're like, wait, and hit everybody on the single paycheck for all the fuel that wasn't charged during a week. And boy,
it
that
hurt.
destroys some people. I
Yeah.
mean, it wrecked them. So, I mean, I think this is a great compromise and a
Well,
great way to handle it.
and there was at least one time in each of my 3 leases where somehow I didn't get charged lease payments, and they came back and said, "Hey, you owe us $5,000." What? Because especially my first truck, Brett, I was not the savvy businessman that you see before you today during
Yeah.
that first lease, and it blindsided me because I wasn't checking my settlements. Right?
Yeah.
I was like, "Wow." Talking to my wife, look at how much money we're making. Well, it's because I didn't know that $600 a week on it.
Right.
Yeah.
But then they came after me, and this was back in the day when you could do those negative balance loans at 15% interest.
Right.
But that was, what do you do when you owe somebody $5,000?
That's
It's
heavy.
no
Yeah.
But
I wasn't around
but
for that.
my point is these things have happened in the past, and Swift has always been really good about working with us on it. Especially with things like the fuel card, the fuel thing, and the lease audits that have to happen every once in a while because things get missed in payroll.
Yeah.
And even with the big fuel card snafu from years back, I negotiated the hell out of that. I gotta tell you, I called Rapid Response. I said, "Phew, I can't afford this. I got a mortgage this week."
Yeah.
And they worked with me.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're here to support when we can, and I appreciate those comments. It looks like Sydney wanted to know, so if you just went owner op in February, everything's accurate. So there should be no deduction of $25. And if you're seeing that, please call me direct and we'll look into that. But this only impacted the owners that had signed a lease prior to January 1st of this year.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to
Okay.
follow up on that too. So I just want to make sure that we got that one out there.
Yeah, great question. There's one more question I wanted to bring up too.
Yeah, by all means.
So a question was asked around, if I'm going to an outside insurance company, why do I need to call TransStar to provide my certificate of insurance?
Yes.
Because I'm going to an outside insurance company. So peace out. The answer to that is because we partner, IEL, Interstate Equipment Leasing, partners with TransStar to back us. So in case that you default on your insurance and you are then not insured, TransStar jumps in and provides insurance right away so that the asset that's owned by IEL is covered. Right. So this would be the same things if you went to the Honda dealership and bought a brand new Honda Accord. They're going to ask you for proof of insurance. And the bank that finances your loan is going to ask that to be provided as a lease default
Right.
so that their car is covered if you don't cover it.
No, that's
So-
fair. And that was me that hit him with that question today earlier, by the way. He's being nice. He's like, I don't want to bust you out. No, I'm like, why do we have to go through them? And I think it's a fair question. We've actually had quite a few people bring it up. So not to screw with you here, and I apologize, but because we went that route,
with all due respect,
right? With all due respect, let me poke you in the eye. And we talked about earlier the stipulated loss value thing, right? We've gotten some guys that getting outside insurance elsewhere, and they're sending in their COIs through TransStar, and they're getting rejected at times because the coverage isn't for the very top stipulated loss value number or the value that the initial contract was signed at. So like mine was 155 plus 15%, 178, 250, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we got guys, I had one that I was talking to today who's 2 years into his contract. He's being told that he has to cover $149,000, but his SLV is only 101. And the contract specifically states that we simply only need to cover to the SLV value for the date after an occurrence. So like if I crash my truck today, the next SLV value is what I have to have it insured for. And for this guy, I mean, it's $100 a difference a month. In fact, it's $160 a difference per month based on our percentage rate. So I need to figure out who we need to talk to figure that out, because like I said, the equipment contract on the insurance requirement specifically states must be to the SLV, and they're being told no, must be that initial contract rate, which doesn't sound right at all, because I mean we're supposed to be able to adjust that as that value drops anyhow.
Right. Yeah. Right. We tell people all the time, call once a year. That's reasonable, and have your insurance once or twice a year, and have your insurance adjusted.
Yeah.
So if that's something we could look into, Brett, that would be awesome. And I'll actually show you. I'll send you a copy of the exact paragraph in the contract I'm talking about.
So if that happened within the last 2 weeks, then, and either way, I'll send a note to Denise at TransStar. Okay. But we had that call a little less than 2 weeks ago. It was right before I left for vacation.
Okay.
And we clarified what she should be, because based on what IEL's perspective is, we just need to be covered for what the stipulated loss schedule shows on that date.
Right. And that makes sense. You want your money.
Right.
And that's one of the things we negotiated was we made sure that we got, these values, plus we have a gap coverage on top of our insurance that will cover up to that stipulated loss value, so that when the market crashes later this year, like we're all expecting it to happen, that when the market price is now 120, but your SLV is 190, there's, and so that's why we negotiated in that gap coverage, was to cover that. So, and then we're just getting a little weird pushback, and we didn't know where it was coming from or how to handle it. And
yeah, I can take lead on that, because that doesn't make sense, and it shouldn't be that way. So
if it's cool, I'll reach out to you tomorrow sometime.
Yeah.
And give you a little more specific on that, because there's actually a little bit more to it that I want to get into with you, just so that you have a good foundation on what we're dealing with and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And if you're an owner on the call, then don't have a lease through Swift or IEL, then we just need your updated book value. TransStar would need that. So you can provide that updated book value and they can cover you there.
Yeah. And that way you're covered for, like Jeff, with his paid for truck, had to stipulate that value. So, they're looking at the market value of his, rickety old awesome office truck.
Mm-hmm.
See what I did there? That was funny, right?
That now has a new oil pump, pickup, and everything, courtesy of a towing company that ruined my truck a couple weeks ago.
Ran oil pan. They crushed it. It was great.
Did you hear about that, Brett?
No.
Oh, it was
So
wonderful.
I had my water pump go out, which of course you can't drive without a water pump. So I got towed.
Was this the breakdown though in Reno? Or
Yeah.
we talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, they punctured my oil pan. They tried to lift the 15,000-pound truck up by the oil pan.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, here's Ken Kelly. I had to throw it up. I'm sorry. On future contracts, not present ones, Brett, will an opt-out option be provided on pages 21 and 23 if we have our own insurance, or will those pages be pulled? So if you don't know,
I think that was fixed already, according to Becky.
I think so
I talked
too.
to her about that on Friday.
There was never an opt-out on the insurance. It was like check the box for yes. There was no, right?
Yes.
On the old DocuSign version of the contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no way to opt out of it, and the DocuSign wouldn't go through unless you checked a box, and there was only one box, and that was saying, yes, I'll take Swift's insurance.
Yeah.
So it was a weird thing. So
you're talking about the new lease startup, like as a new owner and you're signing a lease.
Right.
Yes. So that startup now does have the option to elect for TransStar or outside coverage.
gotcha.
And if you select outside coverage, then there's a time frame to provide the certificate of insurance. And essentially that you won't receive an owner operator code until the certificate of insurance is completed. So I think that the answer is yes.
Yeah, he was the one leading that fight because he was the first one to run into that because he immediately when he was doing all this transition at one time, brand new truck, the whole 9 yards, insurance. He's like, wait a minute, nothing's working, and the DocuSign failed, and it was like a whole thing.
Yeah, me and Ken are friends.
Ken was like, we talked to him. I'm going to kill everybody because he's a grumpy old bastard.
Yeah. Well, him and I talked too because I think he had an APU. He took off his old unit and had to get it installed. It was a big to do, but he loves his APU. So, have you guys talked about APUs yet?
No, not recently.
No. That could.
We have a couple of guys that just got some this year that we're waiting for them to give us some solid numbers on their performance.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're expensive
ROI,
to get the good ones. You're looking at 12, 13 grand.
Yeah.
All in. But if they save wear and tear on the engine and maintenance costs and then a little bit of fuel costs, maybe. The problem is I think what we're going to run into with guys that have them is they're not going to do the services every 2,000 hours like they're supposed to.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's why Swift stopped. I don't know if you were around then, but Swift did an experiment with like 500-600 trucks that they put them on, and that's what they found is guys weren't bringing them in for the services. So why bother?
Hey, Robin Mead asked, if you have outside insurance, can you purchase the Netrodyne camera through Swift and get it installed at a Swift shop?
Yes.
There you go, Robbie.
They will sell you it. They will sell you a camera.
That's So there you go. Can we use Seabright to trip lease? Yes, you can. You just got to let them know what you're doing. Sorry, that was sorry.
Do you want that? Do you want that gotcha question right now, Brett, or do you want to hold off on
here he
trip
goes.
leasing stuff?
What? I'm sorry. What questions?
About trip leasing and the possible changes that are coming to that. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to wait till things are solid?
Yeah, because I've heard different stories, and I apologize for some of the confusion. So here's my perspective. So trip leasing is absolutely an option for every owner operator at Swift Transportation. The purpose of trip leasing is for a one-time use. Like that's why it's there and it's available. You have a load that you just got, or someone needing help with something, and you elect to trip lease. It's really never set up for just, I'm going to trip lease my tractor for the next 6 months. Right. That's why we have portability. And so at that point in time, you can just take your truck outside of Swift, get your own authority, and go port that tractor while still making the payments to IEL.
Provided you meet the requirements for porting. Sorry.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you for that asterisk at the bottom. There is stipulations, right? So I guess there's really no black and white. It's trip by trip though. And it really, if you are using trip leasing the way that it should be, there's really no business sense to it because you're going to be pulling your hair out. I mean, providing all of your logbooks and fuel receipts, you're submitting your addendums of authorities, there's a list, and we can get into
Right.
all of those. What's been happening though, those that have been trip leasing in the past have been doing it the wrong way. And it's easy for them in their business to do it the wrong way, but it's the wrong way. And it's just not what we need, because naturally Swift has to report back for tax purposes on your movement, on your
Right.
fueling, and
Right.
yeah, and for safety as well. We
And
need to understand.
FMCSA and everything.
Yeah. So there's a carrier to carrier sublease. There's alternative uses of equipment that needs to be signed, and then trip leasing in its own. I mean, you're getting your own outside insurance, right? Which some of you already are doing. But I mean, we've had owners. I had an owner that I had a conversation with. This individual had full insurance both through Swift and theirs. They were like, $300-400 a week they were paying. They were renting a trailer as well and
Right.
paying the trailer costs. And at the end of the day, we just did the math. I'm like, I don't know why you're doing this. Like, look at this as a business. Like, you're not making any
Right.
money, and so the agreement was made. You're right. Let's get away from that. But they wanted to try it, and to each their own. But I
Well,
guess the
there's
shorter
a-
answer is yes, you can trip lease, but
There's-
just do it the right way.
Talking with Becky, there's a pretty scary statistic.
Yeah.
The number 92% came up of guys that go out and trip lease in. And we wanted to ask this because we wanted to make sure we knew what we were talking about. These are guys that went out and trip lease and did not meet their contractual obligations to IEL and ended up going out of business. And, Charley and I just shake our head at this. You make an agreement, you need to abide by the agreement. But, if you choose to do something like this, guys, you still owe IEL money every week.
Right.
You're required to call in and make your payments, man. These guys got themselves in some real trouble, right, Brett? I mean, just by not doing the right thing from the get-go.
Yeah, I don't know the percentage, but yeah, there was a large majority of folks, unfortunately, that are no longer contracting with us, and their biggest issue was, well, they're not paying me. I'm out here trip leasing off load boards. They're saying within 45 days. I have one individual that's been 90 days. It's the same reason that outside independent contractors are coming back into larger carriers, because not only have their costs gone up substantially, but no one wants to pay their bills. All these other shippers and load boards are trying to just stretch this as far as they possibly can.
Right.
And it just, when you have a $600 truck payment or whatever your truck payment is, it might be less than that. You still got to pay your bills, right? I'm sure you didn't call your mortgage company and say, so sorry, I haven't paid in 2 months. I'm waiting for Joe Schmo load board to pay me.
Right. I think some of the confusion came out. Some people were calling to get info on the trip leasing thing. And I guess I actually heard it from several different sources. They were like, well, they told me I can only do one a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not right contractually. No. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just the ATA's, the definition of trip leasing is leasing a company vehicle to another transportation provider for a single trip.
Right.
And so can you do single trips multiple times? Well, sure you can, but then you just have to go through the whole trip leasing packet and do it all over it. It's very tedious, but it's necessary. So we don't do that on purpose. It's just because we're getting audited. We have to respond and reply to everybody else, and we just need those.
Nope, and that's fair. Going back to cameras, Matt Nissen said, for those owners that kept the camera system when we switched to O, what are we required to do, and what will we be financially responsible for?
So you're not required to do anything at this point. You have it and it's installed and working. If you want that to be yours and you own it, then call into Rapid Response, and we would sell you that camera system, and you'll take full operating authority over it.
Right. Life on 18 Wheels was asking, what's the stipulation on porting? Do you know the rough requirements for that, Brett?
Not off the top of my head. And what I'd like to do is if we can get Juice on here.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be good.
That might be a good thing, actually. I'll try and reach out to him and see if we can't get him lined up soon. Maybe we get him and Ian on at the same time just for fun.
Yeah.
and get their faces out here a little more
Yeah,
to the
so
people that
by the way,
watch
too,
us.
I talked to Ian today and he goes, "Oh, wow, you're getting on at 6 p.m. tonight?" And I'm like, "No, it's 6 p.m. Eastern." He's like, "Oh, man, I could have totally jumped on."
Oh,
Because when you
nice.
sent
Oh,
him the invite, he was like thinking it was 6 o'clock. And that day was his wife's birthday. He's like, "Well, I'm going to be out to
Gotcha.
dinner." But
No,
this
that's cool,
East Coast,
man.
West Coast time zone.
Dude,
But
I
anyways,
know. Look,
the-
I showed up to the
man,
load board meeting today an hour early
man,
because I forgot
man,
time doesn't change
man,
in
these
Arizona.
people in their family comes first stuff. I don't know.
Whatever.
yeah.
Um,
So this was kind of tough. Gregory Spears. I mean, I don't even know. That is tough. One box. Do you know, Charlie? You're more familiar with the MRP contract than I am. Is that one of those covered things?
it's supposed to be. I believe it's 80-20 on the
Yeah.
one box.
Yeah. Because I know Brett, when I was having problems with mine, I ended up going to having it cleaned by DPF Alternatives. By the way,
Right.
we could talk to Juice about that service.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna
Um,
bug the hell out of him on that one.
the dude was telling me, he's like, yeah, I'm glad we were able to fix it for you because this was in, what was it, Charlie, August of 21.
Right.
And he was saying that at that time, yeah, if you can get one, they were like 20 grand.
Right. They were just so damn scarce. And a lot of the ones you were getting were actually rebuilt or used, fairly slightly used, and it was a whole thing. So
Anything to do with those emission systems, man, the money does stack up.
Yeah. So to answer Greg, his question. So yeah, you're covered in our MRP up to 80% of that cost. So I'll get with Juice and have him contact you tomorrow so we can walk through that with you.
yeah, and
Nice.
a question like that, by the way, really is a good question for Juice. You call on the rap and say, "Hey, I need to speak to Juice about an equipment problem," because that's what the dude does. He does the equipment issues stuff.
Yes.
Yep.
And
And
he
and
run,
and as long as you don't yell at him, dude is straight up cool, like
yeah.
for real. But you start
Yep.
yelling at him, and look, I don't expect anyone to help you at that point. Everybody gets
Yeah.
upset, but come on, be professional, guys.
And the other thing I would mention is take advantage of Swift's rental program. I mean, if
Right.
a one box isn't going to be done tomorrow, so I would be also asking Juice, can I get a rental? And if you already have, if you work through your terminal and already get a tractor assigned to you, just tell us that and we can send you the rental agreement and you can be back on the road while the
Is that
shop's
still
taking care of
6 cents,
that.
Brett, or did it go to 7? Someone tried to tell me today 7 cents, and I was like, "Huh, I thought it was 6." So I wasn't sure.
Great question. Yeah. So I don't believe that's been finalized. I think that takes
Okay.
effect in April, but we have
Okay.
just due to the increase in maintenance cost.
And that's what I figured it was.
Still
Yeah.
beats the pants off of renting a Penske truck.
Yeah. And
Look,
just, that's a pass through. Like we're not making money on that. That's
right.
our old cost was 6 cents a mile for maintenance. And now it's gone up because of parts and labor. So 7 cents is a pass through essentially for that rental.
Just
So
to
let
poke
me,
at Jeff real quick. Sorry. If Jeff needs a rental truck, he has to pay a full lease payment. So if he's getting a 23 and it's $6.70 a week like mine, he's going to pay $6.70 a week, not 6 or 7 cents a mile.
I was going to
Because
ask
I had
that
that
question.
problem.
So those of us that own our trucks, there's still an option, but it's more expensive.
It's a
Yes.
full lease payment. Yeah, because I actually toyed with that when Chewy was having problems like 3 years ago. And I was like, "Oh crap, I'm gonna need a rental because I had obligations to meet." And they're like, "Yeah, bro, you're not on IEL equipment rate. So guess what?" I'm like, "Damn."
Oh, I already decided, Charlie, like when I do my M frame, if it's going to be down for a couple months, I'll just get a new truck
Right?
and pick this one
Just
back up when it's done
build the
and
fleet.
put a driver in the other one. And that could be one of my students for the owner operator academy that we're going to do.
Right.
Is it 501153 Chewy
Yeah.
or RLP 501153?
Yep.
Hey, can I have that bumper number, Brett?
No,
Since it's not in
Chewy.
the fleet anymore.
We hung that up in the rafters, like that number's
Nice.
being retired.
Because Charlie was actually offering it to me when we first retired, Chewy.
Heck yeah. Hey, you know what? Hey, so we brought this up with Adam Miller and Jim Fitzsimmons, and I'm gonna throw it at you just for fun. Is there any way we can fight to get contractor truck numbers changed to something that aren't confused as a company truck? And it's not because we have big heads. It's so that when a guy calls in and says, "Hey, this is 231015," you know what I mean? They're like, "Oh, that's a contractor." Because of the different models and the planning differences between the two,
Yeah.
they're like, oh God, you're a contractor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just to help try and get that thing because under the old system. I mean, if you bring in an outside truck, you get a 5 Series truck number. Cool. But the guys that are on leases, things like that, like my first lease truck was 971100, right?
Yeah.
And it differentiated you from the company fleet versus the contractor fleet because that would actually help with the planners, I believe, because they're like, oh look, we can actually make a couple bucks more if we put this on a contractor truck.
Yeah.
They're carrying more of the liability. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if there's any way we could get a chat going about that, that would be awesome.
You got it. Yeah, I'll ask the question. I think it's probably just automated right now. It's just, the next truck number in the cycle or whatever.
Right.
So
Model
I
year
don't-
and then the truck.
Well,
number
there,
and the cycle, right.
there wasn't a huge difference, Brad. I mean, we're all on the same team, but back when we had different truck numbers, it seemed like when I talked to a planner or anybody, there was just that understanding. Oh, this is a contractor. He's got a different goal than
Right.
the dude over in the 12 Series truck. It wasn't a big, oh, these guys are jerks or whatever.
And again, yeah, it's not a flex move on our part.
It's just that they know straight up that talking to me, I've got different goals than that other guy.
Yeah.
And it makes the relationship that much easier to build, I think.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Apologize.
I think it'd be easier for everyone, myself included, to be able to differentiate, right? So I'll ask that question and see what's possible.
Yeah.
And then it would be
definitely.
a go forward type. If it's the answer is yes, it'll be go forward. Obviously, we don't want to bring trucks in to renumber them and all of that, but
I'd totally be willing to pay for my own renumbering. Just gonna throw it out there. Just saying.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Hey, we're fully prepared to pay for our own wraps on our trucks.
We're working on towards that right now. So
yeah, that's cool.
We want to have our MOS badge from the Army. Like I want mine on my hood, cross sabers, and then have Contractors Corner and all that stuff down on the fairing. Call this number to talk to Michelle Cantrell, all that stuff.
Wow, you're gonna go all out.
Right.
What have you been in contact with Gladiator Graphics?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Directly.
Oh, okay.
I had an informal conversation with them a little bit of what the possibilities might be, and I'm not going to divulge the price that was discussed, but I was happy with it. Let's just say that.
No joke. Like we're
I mean,
legit.
like-
We're like, bro, you can put your company now on here if you'll cut us a couple bucks. We're negotiating that thing.
Good. Yeah, I know the owner, Alex. He's a really cool guy and great business. And he's come up with solutions as well because they're here in Phoenix. But if he wants to ship a package out, and he can get with installers and help you there too. So
yeah, Jordan turned me on to Alex, and I'm like, oh. So yeah, it's kind of a cool thing. I think we could get a lot more business for them if more people understood that it's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't think people understand that it's even there. Like they're like, what? Because I've priced some wraps at other places, and what Alex was saying, even before we were talking discounts, that price was like it was a good price. You know what I mean? Depending on exactly what you want, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And, Alan Becker, that guy's going completely crazy. He is going to have the coolest looking fleet in the fleet. I feel like that doesn't work, but you know what I'm saying? Because he's got some stuff coming on his trucks. It's going to be cool, I think.
I know. I document every one of his trucks, and I follow him. If he turns one in, I just say hold it because I want to go and check out what he left behind. I mean, he'll leave like 15-inch subwoofers and like 1,000-watt amp. I'm like, Alan, bro, you just left like $3,000 in the truck. It's okay. It's all right. He just there's like $500 into the driver's seat. Oh, you can keep it. I'm like, man,
right.
This guy's just
he's got one that he's getting ready to wrap for somebody right now or decal up. I'm not sure if he's doing a full wrap or what he's doing, but he's got a guy coming on, I believe this month, that he's going to do a full Marine Corps deal for him to, the guy's proud of his service and all that sort of stuff. And which I get, and he's going to like do up the whole Marine Corps thing for him. And he's like, look, man, the guy's proud. And I'm going to do that for him. And I'm like, right on. I may have to come work for you.
Yeah.
Well, and you talk to Alan, Brett, and he's got a really interesting business model he's trying to create.
Yeah, talked to him a little bit yesterday.
I don't know how well it's going to work in reality, but the dude has put some serious thought into his business plan.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how well it works for him.
Yeah, the shout out I'll give to Alan is he puts serious thought into it, and then he has no fear. He just goes for it. So
Right.
that's huge, and I can learn from that. There's things I've been wanting to do for 15 years, and I'm like, oh God, but what if I lose my money? But he's just
Right.
like, oh, let's do it. I can always make it back later. So good for him.
Look, that is an amazing thing about him, seriously, because we talk to him constantly about different things, and we run numbers together and things like that. And the dude's like, "Yep, I'm gonna do it. Let's see what happens." And I'm like, "Oof. All right, brother."
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we use Alan to test ideas because you get him on something, he'll do it, and we're like,
Yeah.
we could get Alan to do this, and we'll just see how it works out for him. And if it works, we'll do it.
Yeah. Hey, wanted to
All
ask
right.
you guys too, have you got any feedback around those that are choosing outside insurance and their trainers today, and the insurance companies are saying they cannot train?
Yes.
So for our preferred carrier, Seabright, they can't do it right now. I know Ida said that they could. I don't know anyone that's done it yet. They need to know some information. So I couldn't speak directly for like OIDA or anyone else for that matter. I know Seabright, said they needed some things to be able to offer that. And actually, if we can make that happen somehow, we could actually get them a pretty good rate, honestly, because of it's less liability overall because of the way that the coverage would have to be written. And so therefore they could actually save a couple bucks doing that. But again, yeah, I mean that there's a huge problem with trying to get a trainer covered because of we've always it's been a handshake, a wink, and a nod, right? Swift will cover it, don't worry about it. But there's nothing in black and white that states that, and that's kind of been a problem
and
going.
talking to our guys at Seabright, that what they're wanting is something black and white, saying that Swift will cover things if the student's driving. And what I told them was, look, I've never seen anything in writing, but I can tell you that a couple of students did wreck my trucks, and I never heard anything about anything other than where do you want to have it fixed. So,
But that was also under the old insurance
Yeah.
umbrella. So
Yeah.
what I mean?
for all I know, my insurance paid for it. I just didn't see a deductible. Swift paid the deductible or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how that actually happened. But what they're saying is, if Swift really does just take care of the truck that's wrecked by a student, and that's Swift's thing, then that makes his liability less, so he could get a mentor a lower rate. And what I told Joran the other day is, if we can get that information, whether Swift actually does that or not, one way or the other, I'd like to know. But if we could get that in writing, I think we can get Joran more mentors from the owner operator side.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't want to shoot it down. Absolutely.
Right.
Just if you can just send me the language, let me review it with those powers to be, and let us get back to you.
I know with
question. I was going to ask around. Oh, go ahead. We're talking over each other.
I know with
it's fun.
I know with some of the other insurance companies, they require 2 years of OTR experience before they'll insure anybody. So students are definitely a no-go for most of these insurance companies.
Huh.
We looked at them guys, and they actually had fairly decent rates, good coverage, but there was a 2-year requirement on the CDL, so that was definitely a no-go for trainers.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I know our guy would love to talk to somebody, but Transtar won't talk to them.
Yeah,
like absolutely will not talk to them.
Yeah, give me I'm happy to have a conversation with him and see what he needs and what we can work through. I mean, I can't speak for Transtar, but we can at least look at what he's asking and then try to have a conversation. But definitely not an expert in insurance. I just question around, like, there's what's called a permissive user, right? Like if you have a car or vehicle and you give someone permission to drive that vehicle, and that person has an event, they didn't steal it, right? You gave them permission. Therefore, the insurance company has to insure the vehicle that you gave them permission to drive. And so there's got to be a way.
Weird,
like, ultimately,
man, in this insurance world. Yeah,
it is. And that's why I just let the lawyers talk through it, because someone's trying to say, not our fault, it's your fault. And
Mm-hmm.
So what else you guys got?
There is stuff. Don't know if you want to dip into it or not.
Yeah. So load board.
We
haven't talked about load board.
Yeah, right. It's always such a fun subject for sometimes.
It actually is now, because we're
Right.
making progress, and honestly, what's changed for me is just my confidence. We have the right project manager over the load board. We have a full development team staying with it, and not being distracted or being pulled away. So we have the resources. You two and the other 28 beta testers are giving us feedback on a daily basis. It's not perfect. I mean,
Right.
there's issues and there's errors that we have to correct and that we're still working on. The two things that are going to get deployed this week, which we've been waiting for, is the first thing was that the loads would cycle every 30 minutes. And so that had to go away, because 30 minutes in transportation is a millennium. So
Right.
that's getting reduced to 3 minutes. So the loads will populate every 3 minutes and be as accurate, up to date as 3 minutes. And then we're going to, from there, from 3 minutes down to 30 seconds to hopefully, within a second or two is the goal, but we have to baby step it.
Right.
So that was a huge thing. And then the accuracy of the orders as well. So if there was a change made to an order after the order was booked, that change was not being reflective to the load board.
Right.
So it could have been put in from Chicago, Illinois to Memphis, Tennessee, and then 5 minutes later, someone changed it from so-and-so Illinois back to Memphis, and that so-and-so wasn't changed.
Right. And the appointment times weren't matching up because they put in a general, like, well, we know we're going to deliver on Thursday, the 25th. Right.
Yeah.
And then when it's updated, because now we have a solid, like Jeff is on one right now, like legit. And I brought this up in our meeting today, which was cool because, they address it directly. He's on one now right now that said, delivery time between 09 and 2300 on today or tomorrow. And then it turned into a 06 live unload. And he's like, oh crap. I mean, wasn't a big deal because he had notice. But yeah,
but that's not what I booked. That's
right.
I'm not going to say no to it. It's a 1,000-mile load. Why would I say no? I can make it on time, so who cares? But there's that principle of crap. I wasn't planning on that, and I guess I'm going to have to react.
Yeah. Yeah, and in the future, we need to communicate that, right? Call the owner and say, hey, the consignee made a change, and here's the change. Do you still accept the load for the change? And then get a yes or no. So,
but a lot of that should be fixed in the next day or two, according to what Jerry was saying today with that 3-minute update.
Yeah.
Going to that 3-minute update will be a huge thing. And he said that part of that will actually be addressing the load information data as well as part of it. And not all of the load information, but part of it. And those times should start updating with those updates.
Yeah.
That's the load board update, guys. You like that? Huh?
Well, I just mentioned too, not even with the updates more frequently, the change to the accuracy from our customers, there's always that variable.
Oh, yeah.
Because you might have been under a load. I've seen it before. You're dispatched and you're 200 miles down the road, and the shipper calls and says, "Oh, sorry, the consignee changed. Now we had a new buyer and we need you to divert the load from Ocala to Atlanta."
Right.
And stuff like that happens, and we just got to work through it, but we'll definitely make sure that the owner is compensated for the change that we need to. But
so Brett, it was mentioned in one of our meetings that your guys are also working on reintegrating the Swift Logistics side into the board. How successful is that so far?
Oh yeah, so displaying the TMW freight, which is through the logistics arm. That is, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but yeah, that within the next 6 weeks, that's part of their development sprints, they call them.
Cool.
So the sprints last 2 weeks. So they take 2 to 3 items and they just focus on those items for 2 weeks. Then they deploy, then they work for another 2 weeks on the other items. And then there's some weeks where if it's a very large task, that's the one task that they look at, and all developers work on it. The good news is I met with the project manager and I said, hey, worst case scenario, August 1st. And he was looking at the sprint calendar and he's like, yeah, I was thinking more towards the end of June. And I was like, well, I'm not going to give the best case, say June, and then it turned out to be August. So
yeah,
right.
My hope is that 4th of July is a little bit more festive this year, where we can launch the load board completely.
Nice.
But if it goes into the
complete
first week
with
of
confetti
August,
fireworks.
Oh yeah. Which wasn't that your suggestion, right? Yeah,
it was.
I love that. As you book a load, you will receive some fireworks.
I think Alan's got some left from last year.
No,
fireworks? Oh, good God, that man.
Do you know he spent $15,000 on fireworks last year, that guy?
Don't be putting out his business like that. What's wrong with you?
Oh, man.
Trucker Dan
dude.
asked, when are they going to start adding new testers for the load board? It's kind of
There-
a continuing question.
Yeah, and there's really no set date for that. What I'd say is please connect with Jerry White. Let's get you on the list. And so when we go to add more, you're there and ready. We might have to replace a few, unfortunately, because during this beta test, there's some individuals that aren't actually beta testing or providing feedback. And so you might be in line to be one of those folks that we have to replace. And if you're on this call and you're in the beta, please participate. We
Right.
got to have feedback and communication. If not, just wait for this thing to be released.
Right. Brian just said, so we don't all drive 60. Why you kicking me, man? Anyhow, what is truck governed at with outside insurance if we have a camera?
70.
Yeah,
Contractually
70.
speaking, 70 on the pedal, 68.
So
on
this
the-
is not, so Brian, this is not an insurance thing. It's in your ICOA.
right.
The speed policy is in the ICOA.
Yeah.
So if you have a camera, but you have outside insurance, which means that Swift does not have access to that camera, they're going to treat that like you don't have a camera in the ICOA. Correct, Brett?
Yeah. Well, and just keep in mind, I mean, the speed is a result of you operating under our authority.
Right.
So you're still under Swift's authority. You're still, through the CSA, and yeah, we have to make sure that we're abiding by the safety rules and the motor in public. So,
And I think it's too early to talk about the U.S. Express merger, folks, because I mean, like, that's not even expected to close until the end of second quarter, beginning of third quarter this year. So I saw a lot of questions about it through the chat already, and I wanted you to know that I saw them, but I don't think there's questions or answers to be had yet.
well, I
That's
can
what
kind of
it
speak to that. So, I mean, first I opened it up and I was super excited. I mean,
Right.
I think that just shows the strength of the KNX brand and our businesses
Right.
to have such a large acquisition. And the other thing is that my experience with the Knight leadership team, just as simple as in 2017 when we merged with Knight and they acquired Swift, they did it with all professionalism and respect. And they, from day one, said, we will never blend the brands. We will always be
Right.
Knight and you will always be Swift. And that
Mhm.
is the truest, even right now in 2023. So US Express is going to operate independently just as they are today. The leadership team's going to be there to support that company and make them better as we can. But they
Right.
don't come in and say, we are this and we do this better and you should do this. It's just, how can we partner and work together? So
Everything
it
I've
isn't.
seen to date was they've actually come in and bolstered Swift and AAA Cooper, or all of the brands that they're bringing under the umbrella. Is they're like, look, we see a weakness here, right? We can help you with that thing. Like
Yeah.
US Express, their irregular route truckload is not a good thing for them.
Yeah.
Their dedicated business is a solid business. That's where they thrive. So Knight Swift, the holdings can come in and say, hey, we're providing you some leadership, because they are replacing the president and the CFO, I believe. And they're going to say, look, and here's some guidance. Here's our way of doing things. And this is how we've been able. I mean, this is how we're in a position to buy your company.
Yeah.
Doing these things. So I think it's good overall for the general health of the brand, the Knight Swift Holdings company. And that's what I've been trying to tell people all day is I don't think it's going to affect us directly, except making the top parent company that much stronger.
Yeah.
Absolutely, which is a positive effect on all of us, because
Right.
now think about our buying power that just went up another 30%.
Right.
So, I mean, it's big. And then there's just a lot of best practices that we can share and network with and just get better. We're going to learn from them and they'll learn from us. But when it comes to sharing trailers, sharing yards, sharing customers and stuff, no, I mean, that's never been with any of the other acquisitions, and it's not going to be there either.
Right. And CW said he's still pissed off about the ECT issues since Knight took over. They're that's just been an ongoing thorn in everyone's side. I don't know.
I honestly didn't see the ECT issue getting any worse or any better when Knight took over.
Right.
That whole thing's just kind of like, just don't call after 5, man.
Oh no. I thought this is the first I've heard of it. So nights and weekends is
it's
what's
rough.
It's rough. It's rough. I mean, that's more Swift operations, which is probably why we haven't bitched to you about it, Brett, because it's, you know, it's over there.
Right.
But no, I mean, our ECT is managed by Swift directly, right? Ramon
Right.
Johnson is the leader for that out of Memphis, and
Mhm.
as far as I've heard, it's. I think they answer the phones within 30 seconds. Is it just they're not answering, or when they answer, they're not supportive, or what?
It's all of the above.
Okay.
It's the anti everything you think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not to be
pretty
a jerk,
much.
but and look, so we only hear about the bad experiences, right? We don't hear people saying, "Oh my God, I called ECT and they answered," because
Right.
nobody's going to tell you that. Let's just be real. So we hear about the nightmares. Oh my God, I've been on hold for 4 freaking hours right now and can't get anyone to answer the phone.
Wow.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
it
So
is true. I have to address this because it's starting up in the comments. It is true that different terminals are different, though. Like if I call
Right.
Troutdale and Chip is on duty, he will absolutely answer the phone.
Right.
Now, it depends on what kind of day he's having, which Chip you get. Because
Right.
the dude, he's a
Love
crusty
that
old
guy.
bastard. What can I tell you? But if I end up calling in to say the 800 number in Phoenix or something, because I know that there's nobody in Troutdale for whatever reason, it's a wait, man. It's
Yeah.
half hour, 45 minutes, and then half the time they say, "Well, did you call your terminal?"
What?
Well, I tried. Now I'm talking to you. So how's that?
Well, and
Right.
the way that it's supposed to flow is that you're supposed to call your terminal, like your owner operator consultant, your driver leader. But if they're not available because it's after hours or weekends, that
Right.
phone should be routed directly to ECT for someone to pick up within 30 seconds and support you. And so if you're calling that number, what we found in the past is that the terminals were changing that call flow, and we got to look into that. But I don't even know if ECT has a direct line that you're calling as well. Share that number with me so we can test it.
Okay.
But I know, I mean, I'm glad I'm hearing this because honestly, the calls that I'm on, they're just beating their chest and bragging about how good. I mean, I've seen the metrics as far
Right.
as
Right.
the calls are going, and they're answering hundreds of phone calls within 30 seconds or less. Their average talk time is right under 3 minutes, and so it's not as if they're just getting on and hanging up. But we might not be looking at the right metrics. So
Well, you know how it is too, Brett. You know, the loudest voices are the ones that have something to complain about.
yeah,
You know, I can tell you what my experience has been with them, but there's probably 5 guys out there saying, I don't know why you have a problem. I don't have a problem. You
Right.
yeah.
know, I
But we
I
see
don't know.
those there's still opportunities, right? And so we want to hear from these folks. I saw someone in the chat saying Greer ECT is the best, and some other folks saying no, it's rough. And so
Right.
if we can hear from you, who you're calling, give me the number. Um,
Would this be a good VYC thing as well?
yeah, oh for
Just to
sure.
put it out there, just saying.
Oh
I don't think people utilize that enough.
no, and I can tell you, I could pull it up right now. I'll tell you what voice your choice average is right now. Let's see, voice your choice statistics. And Charlie makes a great point, guys. I mean, voice your choice is something that's looked at by leadership as it happens. If you submit a voice your choice right now that says owner operators is the best thing since sliced bread, it comes right to me and all my leadership. So, and if you want to complain, we'll see that as well. So ECT night and weekend coverage for Memphis is out of 5 stars right now, 4.87. ECT night in coverage, weekend coverage for Phoenix, 4.92 out of 5
Nice.
stars. And this was 405 respondents. So not a lot, not a little amount. ECT night and weekend Lathrop, I think that might be old, 4.95. So, I mean, don't think of it as complaining. It's opportunity. If you're
Right.
having an issue, please state it. But right now, on average, we're averaging a 4.65 for all ECT across the nation out of 5.
Right.
So that shows a small percentage, right? And we want to look at those opportunities, but it's kind of saying like nothing to see here. Keep doing what you're doing.
Hmm.
Right. And I think like this is the type of thing that's going on. Like he's CW said Greer is now routed to Memphis terminal and ugh. And look, I'm not a fan of dealing with ECT in Memphis. It's an absolute train wreck. Anytime I've ever had to deal with it in the past. I haven't had to deal with ECT in quite some time, so I can't speak to current things, right? I
Yeah.
just go by what folks are saying. Yeah, and James Bond said he just calls the main number and deals with it that way. Timothy Ransom said, "Why is it every time I'm supposed to get a detention pay, I have to fight tooth and nail with the detention department to get detention pay I'm supposed to get?" Wow, that hurt my head. But yeah, it is.
So there's, here's the, well, a lot of people don't understand this about detention. We only get paid if Swift gets paid. We're not getting any detention if Swift doesn't collect detention. So there might be an issue there. I know that normally I get my detention, but I make sure I give them detailed return messages on that detention message every 2 hours, every hour after that first 2 hours. I mean, I find out someone's name first of all. I'll go and say, okay, well, you're understaffed. I get it, but they're going to ask me who told me that. Okay, please get your name. And I think that helps quite a bit.
Clear notes have always helped me with detention. So
the thing I would mention, and we'll look at the fee schedule and the contract, but I believe the owners are compensated regardless, because it's your fee that's in the contract, and so after 2 hours you're eligible for that compensation, so long as that you submit. So you're going to get a message that says you still show sitting at the shipper or final, please respond. And so there's an automated way to be compensated for detention if you're following the automated prompts. But if you're someone that is, you're getting every 30 minutes, you get one of those messages and you're not responding, we don't have any route to then charge the customer. So that's kind of our proof. Yes, our driver's still sitting there. Yes, after 3 hours, they're still sitting there. Yes, after 4 hours, they're still sitting there. And it'll ask you like, who at the shipper have you checked in with, or who at the final? So that definitely helps us then at Swift get compensated from our shipper. But I don't know off the top of my head, and I'll check in that, but I feel like the owner should still be compensated because their time. But then again, if you're not responding and supporting and we're not getting compensated because you're not providing the information necessary, then I could see that kind of maybe not getting paid.
I think part of it, I mean, like the contract states, and just because I'm that guy right now, again, I've got all this stuff open today. I've been going through it like a crazy person. Company and contractor agree that the detention pay shall not be paid unless company deems it necessary and appropriate to compensate contractor. And I think that lines like that tell the detention department that, well, we didn't think you needed it. And that there is some weird pushback that comes a lot of time on detention. Like, I mean, it's a thing, man. It truly is a thing for us to get it on some customers. And I'm trying to find.
And it actually does say company shall not be obligated to pay contractor any detention pay unless company has collected the charges for detention from the shipper.
Right. So there is that line that gives them the out, because if they didn't get paid, they don't necessarily have to pay you by contract.
That's
I mean,
Schedule A, paragraph C, subsection 1.
Yep.
For anybody that's paying attention at home.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys had that in front of you.
We're deep, man.
So I that's a demonstration, guys. So when we tell you look at your contract, what did we just do? Live on the air.
Right.
The contract.
Pulled it up and quoted the thing that we're talking about, right?
Well, and two, keep in mind, a lot of shippers and consignees now will have open windows, and some of that's just for you all to know that you have opportunity to come in between this and that time, but it also deflects we've been waiting for 2 hours. Well, your appointment was from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So you're not actually detained. You're just within your window. Looks like FM said I look like Bill Nye the Science Guy's son. Right. So thank you, FM.
You should have seen him after we shaved his head. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like, look, y'all missed it too, by the way. I don't know how many of you actually got to see Brett after he shaved his head. We shaved his head. The man had a bald head and a goatee, like instantly, like sprouted out of his face. I'm like, what? And then you look at him now. Look, he's back to the hair and no goatee. He shaved his face again. I'm like, it's two different people, man. I'm telling you.
So you do realize, Brett, because we're going to hit the promo on this early this year so we can get more money. Joran's goal is to double what you got. That's his goal.
Oh, yeah.
And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about raising money for Swift Charities. And if you don't already, there's a macro. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head without looking at my Zonar, but there's a macro where you can go in and say, I want to get this much money a week to Swift Charities. Yeah. Do that. I mean, one of the reasons for being in business and being successful is to kind of give back. And that's one of the ways you can give back is give to Swift charities. They support a lot of things.
Alan Becker donated $1,000 in a single shot just to be the guy that shaved Brett's head.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
That's so good. And
That
then he
dude
was
was
holding the
lit.
trimmers like upside down. I was like, oh my
Right?
gosh, have you ever done this before? He's like, nope, but I paid $1,000 to do it to you. I'm like, well, just
Exactly.
don't like cut into my scalp, please.
Right?
So funny thing about that, Brett, we've talked about Alan a little bit. And Charley was like, I'm going to be the one to cut Brett's hair. You watch. I got this money. I got cash right here. I'm ready. And Alan dropped $1,000 and Charlie's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have $1,000.
I dropped like 301 because the highest bid was 300. I'm like 301, suckers.
Bam.
Yeah. Oh, so
Price is wrong. Yeah.
right. Damn, Alan. And you know what? He's gonna be the one that goes after Jordan's face. I'm just saying
Yeah.
because he's already committed to that. So
Such a
if
cool
you-
cause, and yeah, I appreciate
It's
everyone
fun.
doing that. Yeah, we raised over $7,000 there, and that goes back dollar for dollar for our drivers and their families, and it just supports the Swift driving force. So
our goal is
Uh,
10 grand strictly from Contractor Corner members minimum.
wow,
That's our goal this year.
yeah,
And we haven't pushed it yet. We're gonna, as we get closer to Fleet Week, as we like to call it, we're gonna start pushing that so that we can come in and say, look. And Alan, of course, is gonna be the guy because that rat bastard is gonna drop the biggest chunk. So, but
are
yeah,
you
I think
doing
it'd be
beard
cool.
and head?
That's apparently the deal, man.
Okay,
And wait, Jordan suckered up and said, "Hey, we can even do it a little bit every day, bro." I'm like, you don't
I
have
got
to
100 that
understand.
says he backs out.
To
Right?
which I said, Jordan, did you ask your wife about this before you committed to all this? He's like,
Yeah,
he kind of got a sheepish look on his face.
Right.
not only that, the dude's got like a modeling contract now because the dude, he looks
Right.
like Viking, all these jacks from
I mean,
Sons
the
of
dude
Anarchy.
makes
and-
movies. Come on.
Yeah, and he's in
How do you
movies, and
do
so-
that? And he's like, "Psh, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. I'm like, you
Yeah.
pretty bastard. Whatever.
Yeah,
don't
I
hear
know.
your crap.
Wait till you see him without a beard. He's just totally different. He looks like a Ken doll. It's gonna be like,
Oh, I remember from back in the day when he
Mhm.
was working under Brian Dudley in the division. He was my arch nemesis back then because he was the gatekeeper. But yeah, oh, trust me, I remember, sir. I do.
yes, it's awesome.
Let's see if there's anything we missed real quick before we cut Brett loose because things to do, I'm sure.
I love this show because I say, guys, I can only get on for 30 minutes, and then an hour and 15 minutes later, we're still
Right.
here. That just
I
means
feel
we're
bad
having a good
sometimes,
time.
but I'm glad you
No,
do it, man.
Yeah, it's just because we're having a good time. It's fun.
But when we have Jeff Reese on from ES Advantage, his wife
Oh,
actually texts him and says, "Where are you?"
Right?
Oh no.
Oh yeah. She
That's
knows.
not
She
true.
knows our names, and she's like, "You need to tell them it's time for you to go home."
Oh
yeah. Yeah,
That's
we're
awesome.
expecting to go up there sometime soon, Jeff and I, and meet up with them in person. And I feel like I'm gonna get smacked in the head by his wife if he brings her out. Pretty sure it's gonna happen, and it'll be okay. I mean, Rosie will be like,
Aw.
"Please do it twice."
Yeah. She's not allowed if she's gonna be a buzzkill though.
Right? It's awesome. Do you think they will? Sorry, I'm just gonna throw it up. Do you think they will start test drive trucks so we can see how they work on them? That's actually kind of a valid question, Brett. When guys go in like on these MRPs or even the standard lease trucks, or the effects wouldn't be because they're already driving them. They're not allowed to test drive a truck.
Why?
I don't know, but you can't drive it until you sign the lease. They will not let you. That truck ain't moving. It is not going to happen, Brett. I could tell you that. They are adamant. No,
I
sir.
mean, all three of my trucks are leased out of the Phoenix terminal. You know how big that place is. You live there.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tour it around that big old
Right.
lot or nothing.
Nope.
So that doesn't make any sense to me. I can check with the team on that. And the reason is because, so let's say under one situation, you're an outside owner operator new to Swift and you haven't signed or are associated with our insurance, then I can get that. But we could also get a CDL driver to drive with you and shotgun, take it around the block and,
Right.
show that it operates and make sure there's
Someone
no
who's
codes
got
and things.
Swift insurance or Swift accepted insurance.
Yeah. But if you're a current contractor with us, or maybe you're a company driver wanting to jump in the lease program, You're fine.
Yeah, that's been a thing for a while. We just never thought to actually bring it up, and so for that, I apologize to all of you and you,
Yeah.
sir. I'm just
Well, I'm
saying
gonna
because
I'll make a note right now and follow up with that because it's the end of the day, so my brain's not fully functioning, but I
right.
can't think of any reason. Common sense smacks me and says, I mean, they're already insured as a
Right.
Swift, either current company employee or they're a lease operator, so have them test drive the unit. So test drives.
It seems like a no-brainer. It is not, sir.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Any word on getting some bunk heaters in for guys that didn't get bunk
Sweet
heaters?
Jesus, Brett.
Yeah.
I
Like
don't have
Charley.
a heater in my brand new truck to this
So
day,
technically, Charley paid for a bunk heater and he does not have one.
Yeah.
and I'm told, too bad, so sad, pound sand. That even if we look, the Ocala terminal told me, even if we get them in, right, we will not let you know. We will not hold one for your truck. You have to just magically be here on the day that they come in and ask for it.
Yeah, that's
I-
wrong. And I only chuckle because I
Dude,
love when you get salty like that.
I
Yeah.
know, right?
You're just
I'm
like,
like, dude,
yeah,
I gotta look. I'm in the southeast. It got down to 16 degrees at my house,
yeah.
halfway down Florida. I mean,
So by
look,
the time you get one, it's gonna be summer.
Rosie's
Right.
trying to sleep in the bunk while Charlie's doing an unload out there.
oh yeah, because I don't idle my tractor when we're stopped at a store. I'm yes, it's money, bro.
It's Rosie though.
It's money, bro. She's
Oh.
an employee. I'm gonna get smacked for
Oh,
that one.
yeah, you are. You're sleeping on the couch.
But I mean, it's a legit thing because it is a real thing for me when I do idle the truck. I mean, there's days where I do because it is abnormally cold or abnormally hot, and so I'll idle the truck for those. But a lot of days I'm like, it's borderline, right? I'm like, it's okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But when I do idle, there's a significant hit to my bottom line in that trip and or that week, depending on how the week goes. And when they say, oh well, all the heaters are going up to the northern states first, and we can't even get them to send us to Ocala. I mean, what the hell, man? Brett, I'm leasing a 23 truck, had 28 miles on it when I got it.
Yeah.
Honestly, didn't even realize it didn't have a bunk heater till I needed it.
Yeah.
Because who's going to check in July? Because not this guy. Because I'm not that smart.
And you guys know this, but I want to be clear that obviously this isn't a Swift issue or a
Right.
manufacturer. This is with Bosco, right? They had a part shortage. It's limited supply.
East Bar.
Huh?
East Bar.
East Bar?
East Bar.
Yeah, that's
the
they're
problem.
putting in now.
Yeah.
That's the manufacturer that they're using now. And Andrew, I'll just address this really quick. Does it possibly use a haste of space and weight? The thing only weighs like 20 pounds, if that. So
Right.
the weight thing's not an issue. If it's not working right, I'd get it fixed because
For
I
real.
love mine.
At least you have one.
I love mine. It'll keep me.
Yeah.
The only time I idle my truck is if it's hot because I don't do heat very well. But I won't idle the truck unless it's down around 10 degrees at night.
Right.
And I've never had a problem with fuel chilling.
So, yeah.
I've never had a problem with fuel chilling. If I know it's going to be that cold, I do idle the truck.
Yeah, but so these are things that I wish you guys would text me on and not wait for me to show up to a show, but I could get
we
these
don't
addressed.
think about it, Brett.
Yeah, until now. Yeah.
I
Until we get the
apologize,
whole
man.
group, reminding us.
I
which
mean,
I
Right.
appreciate.
I
Yeah.
mean, I never wasted an opportunity to mess with Charley though. That's
This
the real deal
bastard,
here.
But no, I can get a list of when they're coming in and where, and we should absolutely get you one installed. So
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to Phoenix probably here just before Vegas in April 5th, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna like call them and be like, dude, I hope you have a heater because I'm fighting somebody.
yeah. By then it'll be 110 with 100%
Right?
humidity.
I'm
so
just saying,
they're gonna
man.
be like,
Dang.
You want a heater? Okay, cool.
So
Right?
this has
Hopefully
actually
they'll be
been
one
a
of
theme in all of the Swift groups the last couple of weeks, Brett.
Right.
Any plans to bring on Peterbilts or Western Stars? And what I've been
No.
telling people is no.
No, he said. Just real simple.
So
No.
Craig, I will put this out here because we like Craig, so we can mess with him a little bit. You want a Peterbilt? Go buy one because unless you can afford to buy one, you can't afford to drive one.
Let's
Those
be
things are
real.
expensive to maintain, and it's not because they break down any more than a KW. I mean, basically, you want a cheap Peterbilt, get a T680.
Yeah.
That's a cheap Peterbilt. It's the same freaking truck. But
Same company.
you put that big oval Peterbilt on something, and you're going to pay twice as much for that part.
Yep.
It's
just
funny because
amazing.
so I'll see like the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter vans, and then you see
Mhm.
the Chrysler ProMaster. It's
Right.
exactly that. It's the same truck, just a different emblem with a couple
Right.
other fit and finishes. But yeah, and I didn't want to be so direct there, but you can. I mean, Lisa Peterbilt, Western Star outside, bring it into Swift. That's totally fine. It's just that we focus on a few major brands that we know and are familiar with in our shops, and that parts availability, which has been an issue for all brands over the past couple of years, don't get me wrong, but it just is a better unit that we have more experience with, and it's going to be at a less cost for everyone. So
And David Dunn is right on track here. Why isn't anyone buying outside trucks? He's on his fourth one in 20 years. He has a Western Star Fit 700 now. I brought my old Freightliner, and Chewy, was a truck I bought on the outside for $42,000
yep.
and could sell her easy right now, even with the market dropping for 20 grand. And I put well over 1 million miles on that beast. 1.3 is what I put on her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's a good deal anyhow. There was something else. Oh, any dedicated routes, Brett? Is there a way dedicated guys can find some sort of list?
Yeah. Great
Something?
question. And so I'll text you this after the call, but
Cool.
we have what's called a placement center. And so
Right.
that's a team that you would call, and they have the opportunities across the network that Swift has to offer. And so the answer is yes. I mean, and that would be the direction to go. So they'll look in your area, what you're looking for, and tell you what's open. If there's nothing currently open, they can get you on the list. And when something becomes open, then you would get contacted by that on-site leader, and they do a quick interview with you and meet with you, and then go from there. And the thing I can't stress enough is that, obviously those dedicateds are very service centric. Like, the only reason we retain those dedicated accounts is because we average 95% or better on time service.
Right.
And so if you're someone, and I'm not saying we are, it's just that they're going to look at that. What's your service record, and how are you in a day-to-day business interaction?
What I tell people a lot of times, Brett, is if you're really interested, let's say you want to go to work for a Walmart dedicated account, go talk to the closest one by where you
Right.
live, right around Christmas time.
Bobtail in.
Bobtail in. Don't give tell them, hey,
Don't try and bring a trailer loaded in there.
Bobtail in. Talk to them directly, and maybe around that time is when they need surge drivers. And I've seen a lot of guys just never leave.
Yeah.
Right.
At the end of the season, they're like, hey, we really like you. Here's the contract. What do you think?
I think that's
Then
a
you got
best
that in.
practice as well, to not even just towards the end of the year. Like right now, if you know of a dedicated, go introduce yourself. When you meet an individual face to face, it's a lot. The connection's stronger than I send them an email, or I try to call them and I left a voicemail. Stop in there if you can and say, hey, my name's so and so, and I'm interested in contracting on with you when you have an opportunity. And
Brett,
trust
we
me, they'll
need
remember
a
you.
giant boxing ring with giant gloves at the next driver appreciation week.
Yeah,
There
there
are
you
some
go.
bouts many of us would like to see. Just gonna throw it out there, and that was just fun to put up. I
I
apologize.
agree. Or we could do those bubbles, like we get in bubbles and run full speed at each
Right.
other.
Sumo
Yeah.
suits. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm down.
All
I'm
right.
down. Look, we can raise
Dude,
money
we
that way
could raise
too.
money for charity that
Yeah.
way.
For real.
I'm in.
There was one more thing. Oh,
Hey,
T-call macros.
that's what we do. Sumo wrestle Jordan.
Any
B,
idea if the T-call
$25.
macros ever coming back?
I don't know. That's a good question. T-call macro.
And follow up on that is the $75 T-call costs. What's the deal? Is that going to start getting enforced more here soon, or something like that? We heard something like that.
Yeah, no, good question. So this was brought up mainly because we were getting feedback from owners that they were not getting the option to T-call. And obviously that's going to be the decision of the planner in the area. But the reminder was more for the planners to know that in your rate addendum, there is a clause in there for a T-call charge. So where that came from was the cost to redeliver for the company is usually around 3 hours at $25 an hour. So it's $75 is what UT calling a local load is going to cost the company to go redeliver it. So the argument then is no longer, well, it costs us additionally to allow you to T-call. If the owner is paying the $75, our cost is covered, allow the T-call.
Right.
Now, some owners bring a load in and it's due in 30 minutes, and not just owners, but drivers
Right.
generally will say, this load's due in an hour and I want a T-call. And it's like, well, we can't, you need to go deliver that load.
Yeah, there's got to be some time on it. Be reasonable.
For sure. But we were seeing some instances where drivers were arriving at the destination, say it's Phoenix, and they're at the terminal, and the load delivers tomorrow at 1 p.m.
Right.
T-call the load, and at that point, then our cost will be minimal, but we can charge them $75 now.
Get a day cab guy on it or someone
Yeah.
else, and who's sitting around doing nothing with nothing to do and willing to go do it.
Sure.
Because that's Jeff and I. We're like, hey, we got nothing to do. You
I'll
got
do
anything
it.
local?
I'll do it for
Yeah.
$75. Yeah.
Yeah. And then two, the other thing to keep in mind is the charge should not be implemented always, meaning if you're picking up a load that's destined for the East Coast and you're going to deliver it or T-call it in Dallas and you're leaving 800 miles on it,
Right.
so long as you're not bringing it out of route and adding additional costs on the load, like we should T-call that and
Right.
thank you for the load. We'll find somebody else to go redeliver it. The T-call charge is more just around the cost of a local delivery and the administrative work that we have to do to recover that load to redeliver it.
And keep in mind on that in route T-call type deal like this scenario Brett just gave, they can't always cover it. They may not have trucks to cover it in that market because they're over plant, which is not like a thing right now, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In normal times, there may be a shortage of people who could actually run that route and finish that trip. So
yeah,
I think that's a fair thing.
And I'd say too, so that was implemented in 2019, the T-call costs based off of the need at that time. And I don't have the numbers, but I would say it's like less than a dozen times we've ever done that charge.
Right.
But that was more, and I'm glad James asked the question. It was just more for planners that were just saying no right away and just re-educating them on you can say yes and understand that's additional cost that the owner can pay for if they elect to do that.
Yeah. Call Sue Smith on that trucker, Dan. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah, but I'll
Yeah.
say it out loud. What about changing terminals? If there's a phone, is there a phone number we can call because the terminal I'm out of doesn't have an OC?
Yeah, that's the placement center as well. Doing a terminal change. That's something though I would like to look at as well for you because I do believe that you would be better supported through an owner operator consultant.
Right.
And that's the way that it should be. But some owners have chosen to stay with their driver leaders because of that relationship, and that's your option.
Right.
I personally, though, I like to see the specialists that are more familiar with what it is that I need. So
I got a question for you, Brett. Do you know why the Volvos are not MRPable?
They will be, mainly because we don't have the older Volvos yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once the Volvo reaches they've reached their
rate?
Yeah, and their
Like that.
manufacturer's warranty, right? So at 350, that's usually when it's just engine and transmission is up to 450. And so at 450 is generally when a truck is then into the MRP program because their manufacturer's warranty is expired. And all of our Volvos are 21s and newer generally.
Okay, cool deal. Yeah, it was a question that had popped up in the groups and several other places recently, and they're like, well, why can't I MRP this Volvo? And so there you go. They're just not old enough yet.
Yeah. And if you have one that is, let's look at it. For sure, we can. There's nothing against Volvos.
We keep telling you guys, everybody, look, go in and negotiate. There are points we can negotiate here. There are some things that are not negotiable, but you could go and ask the question, at least to be told to your face, yeah, we're not going to do that. And that's okay. I mean, then you make decisions based on uninformed decision.
The next step in this, Brett, is we have people that are under the impression that they're leasing a brand new Volvo, 23. And they're under the impression they're going to have to come up with that balloon payment. There's no option to MRP it at the end. Are they going to be able to?
100%, yeah. So long as they keep up with their maintenance schedules. So that's something I can't stress enough.
Document.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I didn't even think this was happened, but a guy went 120,000 miles without a B service oil change.
Right.
And you've done that?
Well, he's got a bypass oil filter. Don't let him.
Oh, I just think it's crazy. So yeah, obviously
135 on my last interval. Brett.
Oh,
I don't
Lord.
change my oil until Polaris Labs tells me to.
Yeah. And I'm
but
someone
he's checking.
Yeah, and I'm someone that puts in full synthetic and still changes anywhere between every 3 to 5,000 miles, even though they say I can go 10. I want to
Right.
keep my truck until it has a 500,000 miles on it, and so I want to service it the best that I can. But ultimately, what I'm saying is, if you want to, the requirement of MRP is that you regularly maintain the tractor that you're in. Otherwise, we can't provide an aftermarket warranty for something that you haven't
So
maintained
would it be
correctly.
fair to say then, as much as we encourage people to do their own thing, if your intention is to MRP it, that is one of the advantages of using the Swift shop. Everything is
Yeah.
documented
Right.
properly for the MRP program.
Yeah, and you still don't have to. It's just keep your documentation. If you went and
Right.
got a service from another provider, please keep that and just provide that.
And make sure you are following the proper service schedules, guys, because look, the reality is, you go into a Swift shop and let's say you're at 450,000 miles and you say, I need a B service, you're going to get a B service. But at 450, it's 400 or 450. There is a list of things that need to be done in that service that guys aren't telling the shop they need. And the shop honestly doesn't know what the hell our contract says. They're like,
Yeah.
guy needed a B service. So we did a B service. We didn't know your tranny needed to be serviced. We didn't know that this had to be done by your contract and these things. So you need to be proactive in this and actually be a part of running your business.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what we tell people, Brett, is anytime you go into a Swift shop for a service, get that part of your equipment lease out and go in and show them, okay, I'm at 200,000 miles. I need this, this, and this done. Don't just say you need a B service.
Hmm.
Because I think
Yeah.
the
Be
only two
specific.
shops, the only two shops that I have worked with that just know what they're doing, for lack of a better way of saying it, is West Valley City and Phoenix. But they have Freightliner techs that work there, like
Right.
legitimate Freightliner techs. So they tend to let you know if you're missing something at those two shops.
Yeah, you could say you can have the full annual inspection completed as well, and they're going to check. I don't remember the whole list, but the checklist goes from like 10 to 40 items. So
Right.
usually the full annual will get you what you need, and that's about a 3 hour cost.
So like Andrew Bagwandin, I can't never say that right the
Every
first
week.
time. I screw
Every
it up
week.
every
I
single
love
week.
it.
I have to think about what I'm saying before I say it. Anyhow, Andrew wants to know, well, what about guys that are doing service themselves? Because, like I did that with Chewy, so I maintain my own records. I could say, hey, I have receipts for the oil I purchased, the items that I purchased, and
All the filters and whatnot.
right,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Is that going to be an acceptable means currently, even if these guys are on like an IEL truck, or do they have to go to a?
Certified shop.
Yes, certified shop.
So they should not be servicing themselves.
They can if they're not. Well, I guess if it's an IEL lease, we would rather that not be the case. But if you're trying to get into the MRP program, you need to go to a qualified
Okay.
shop.
And just so we're clear, folks, there's nothing in the contract that states that your truck will be eligible for an MRP. There's nothing in the contract that states that Swift's going to pay for or finance a balloon payment. There is no wording to say that anywhere in the contract. If you heard it, it's wrong. Forget about it. Read the contract. It's very clear. We've gone over it in the past. So please, if
And,
you're under that
this,
misconception,
this is
reach
one
out.
of the reasons we love Michelle so much, Brett. So a couple of weeks ago, I was seriously considering getting a brand new truck for this program that Charley and I are working on. And I asked Michelle, if things go south on me, can I MRP that truck if I don't have the balloon payment? And she said, well, that depends, sweetie. Are you going to do the maintenance on it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Not go 135,000 miles.
Right.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of excuse me, common sense things that should be met, guys, and but there's a lot of contractual things that you need to be aware of as a business owner, as someone who signed 46 pages of ICOA, uh, 17 pages of equipment contract. You need to know what you are doing, you know. So yeah, sorry.
Now,
Uh,
now, because I can see that it really bothers you, Brett, I got to tell you. So my last oil sample, Bruce Mallison himself from Pittsburgh Power called me to go over my oil sample. He says, so you have 880,000 miles on this truck. If I had to guess, and this is a guy that's been working on diesel engines since Jesus was walking the earth, you're going to make at least 1.4 million miles before you need an in-frame on that truck based on the oil sample.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you have
That's going to open
set
a
up on
whole
your-
nother conversation at some point, Brett, because I want to add a bypass oil filter, not in lieu of the contract mandated servicing. I would like to add a bypass oil filter system to my current Freightliner to clean the oil better and not do the extended oil drains.
Right. He just wants to have it there to protect the engine. He's still going to do his 50,000 mile services.
Right. Because I know contractually I have to do these services at 50,000 miles, 100,000, you know, and that I get that. There's a weird pushback. I think I was told at one point, no, you can't do that. So I don't know. I need to get into that further with you and Juice probably, and maybe Ian. I don't know what has to happen there. I just don't know why it would be a problem if I'm adding value to the vehicle and ensuring a better engine life of the vehicle. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because they filter down to a much tinier micron level, so they protect the engine more. You know, and like I said, I'm not gonna I'm not going 135,000 miles. I'd love to be able to. But I understand that I'm under an equipment contract that states I need to do services at certain intervals.
Yeah, but like you mentioned, I mean, if you're going to provide evidence and we can substantiate that, I mean, let's have a conversation with Tim Burks.
Cool.
Oh
yeah, I forgot about Tim Burks. My bad. I need to add him into that.
Yes,
you're right.
Please. I mean, that dude is a genius. He's been around. He knows trucks. So, and then that's something maybe we can learn from as well, and we can also start to implement on our tractors. So yeah,
so it's not an outright no. Let's have a talk and hey, what are we going to do? We're going to have a negotiation and a discussion.
Hey, you know what? We could bring Bruce into the conversation since he sells the dang thing.
Yeah, so you have Tim's email, Charlie. If you want, just compile an email and copy me on it and share those facts, and let's get his side of it.
Cool.
From there. Do we have time to? So Tirandisha has does Swift charge an extra 20% on everything that we do? And I think
not extra.
Right.
There's a markup on parts.
It's because parts are cost plus 20%. That's the only thing that I know of that's 20%.
Yeah, and so I just want to keep in mind as well that you're getting a discounted rate. If you're getting a part from Swift, you're getting our purchasing power at the lowest cost. Not all the time. I'm sure there might be specific parts that you can find at a cheaper cost, but ultimately you're getting the lowest door rate. So your door rate at Swift is $80 an hour, right? So that's your labor charge. I think the average right now, if you go to one of these dealerships, is around 150 to 160 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a general question that she's asking, and I just wanted to, because then there's the other service fee of 10%. So like if you use the on-road system or you go through a Swift shop network, and then your tractor needs to be issued to like a Freightliner dealership, for example, you're going to get the Swift's door rate using Freightliner.
Right.
And you're going to get our negotiated parts discount as well, because it came to us first and now we're issuing it to Freightliner. But there is a 10% charge for that because the administration costs
up to $500.
Correct. So minimum is 30. It's up to $500, or 10%.
So I always tell this story though, because I had an air conditioning unit go bad on me in Texas. Took it to the called on road. They got me into Freightliner, and they charged me $2,000. Swift said, "Well, that's BS."
Right.
And by the time they were done, that was a $1,200 job.
Right.
So $1,200 plus the $120 for the service fee. I still came out way ahead because of Swift's negotiating power.
Yeah. Plus, you get the peace of mind once you bring it to us. It's us that manages that. So even if we send it to an outside shop, and then in 20 days the same issue occurs, you just call us back and we handle it with that dealership. It isn't just like, oh, sorry, you got to call that Freightliner dealership because they did the work and they warrantied it. No, we do that. And that's where that 10% comes in as well.
We've had a couple pop up recently, Brett, that were, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
that popped up recently where they brought it to a Swift shop and an issue was found where they said, oh, it needs to go to the dealership, and those guys are being told, you need to go set it up, you need to call on road, you need to call the dealership, and you need to go set that up. And that takes away from that power of going through Swift, like we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And so that has been popping up more frequently lately in probably the last couple of months. I'm not sure why that's happening, but
Yeah.
and we
Shouldn't
haven't
be.
brought it to you directly, because it's just a recent thing happening. So I thought maybe we should point that out while we're on the
Yeah.
discussion.
No, please do. Yeah, and that's exactly when you get one of those examples, email Tim Burks and myself.
Okay.
And trust me, I mean, anytime I've sent him something within 24 hours, he's investigated and responded. So yeah, just keep sharing those examples. It might be, I don't know why we would do that. That shouldn't be happening.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to get that clarified out there
Hey,
for
Charlie,
people.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of wondering how many of our viewers know who Tim Burks is.
I probably none right now, honestly. Tim Burks is the dude that's like basically runs the shops. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yeah. So he's the vice president of body shops and maintenance.
And the guy is squared away. Like every time I've ever had a problem or had one of our guys come to us with a serious maintenance problem or a cost issue, something they felt was unfair, we've contacted Tim Burks, and I usually CC Brett in it. And he's like, oh God, here we go. And then Tim Burks like, bam, finished, fixed, problem solved.
Yeah, cool story about, I mean, Tim's been with Swift, I want to say 30 years. He started his career here. His dad was and mom was owner operators for Swift, and they retired a few years ago. But he's comes from a trucking family, and
Right.
he loves owners. I mean, his mom and dad are owner operators, so there's a soft part in his heart for that for
Right.
owners.
So, Andrew, I hear you, and I agree. Other than my skill level and confidence at the time would not have allowed me to do that. Now,
Right.
to fast forward to 2023, absolutely. I just had an alternator go bad on me, and I was all set to do it myself last week in my front yard. And then I remembered it's not even a year old, and West Valley replaced it. Let's call West Valley, and they warrantied it out. So there was no need for me to get my wrenches out on that one. I wasn't gonna go pay, $750 for a new alternator when I could get a free one from Swift
Yeah.
on under warranty for the $30 worth of labor it costs. Literally, some of this stuff, you guys,
Right.
like seriously, once you start wrenching on your truck, and I have to point out that if you have a lease truck, there's issues with that, especially if you want to MRP it at the end. But
Right.
you start wrenching on your truck, it's not as hard as a lot of us thought it was going to be.
Especially
You
with the
know,
power of YouTube.
Right.
right? You know, and because of the power of YouTube, right? I did all my tests with my multimeter and everything before I took it to the Swift shop again. So I just told him, I said, I need a new alternator. Should be under warranty. Well,
Yeah.
we need to do this. No, no, you don't. I already tested the batteries. I
Here's the
already tested the
numbers.
alternator. Here's the voltage coming out of the alternator. Here's the voltage of each battery individually.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Sounds like you need a new alternator. Yep.
Well, and two, challenge. I mean, so that happened to me with my wife's car. I brought it into the shop, and they're like, "Oh, you need all struts and shocks and a transmission mount." And I'm like, "Okay." And of course, they quoted me like $3,100. And keep in
Oh,
mind, she's
good.
got a 2015 Ford Explorer. It's worth like 6,000. I'm like,
Right.
"Listen, I'm not going to pay 50% of the total value of the car to you." And so he gave me the itemized list, and I just went right there on my phone and I just researched the cost of each of the strut on Napa. And I was like, I can get all these parts right now for $600, but you're
Right.
charging me $1,950. I was like, come on, man, why would you
Right.
triple the cost? I know you got to make money, so let's come up with a deal here. And he's like, well, maybe I could. And I said, well, what I'll do is this: I'm going to go down the street to Napa. I'm going to buy the parts. I'm going to bring them back to you. And then how much labor do you need? And he's like, oh, well, I could probably do, So next thing I know, I saved myself like $2,000. But I think not all shops are going to be willing to do some of those things.
Right.
But I guess my point is, do your research. You know what I
And
mean?
have a
Like,
discussion.
yeah,
Yep.
I mean,
talk.
what's it gonna hurt to
Yep.
say, hey man, maybe we could do this, right? And they're like,
Now,
you're an idiot, stop talking. And then, okay, then you move on, right? You do what you gotta do. Or they're like, hey, you know what? Okay.
now the other thing too is it does not hurt that I've spent several years building a relationship with the guys at the West Valley shop.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because even like I escaped from Oregon in 2021, Brett, and I was in Troutdale all those years, and that shop kind of has a history of every time you go in there, it's different text because I can't hold on to people. And so I just got to this point where I was just like, all right, honey, I'm gonna just get a load to West Valley City, and I'll have them work on the truck, and then I'll hit the road. So for years I've been using those guys and talking to them, and their Freightliner techs are top notch. They get, is it just West Valley and Phoenix that do that, or is there more? Do you know, Charlie?
Not sure.
Because at those
I
two
know those two for
shops,
sure.
it's an actual employees of the Freightliner dealership down the street that
Right.
Yeah.
have space in our shops. So if you have a Freightliner, you might go through the quick lane, but if you got a Freightliner, they're going to call that guy over and say, "Hey, Freightliner tech, come look at this."
Right. And those are
So-
great. Like seriously,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
not
and you-
just a shop tech.
And
it's
so-
a like legit mechanic. dude.
And so you at those two shops, you get the Swift shop rate and have a Freightliner technician working on your truck without having to take it down the street. It's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
You mentioned again, I just want to end with this note is that
Yeah, man.
get in front of these people as much as you can. If you're traveling and you're
Mhm.
sitting in Lancaster and you're needing a load, don't just sit in your truck messaging, sending Mac 10s. Just get up, walk into the building and say, "Hey, my name's Brett. How you
Right.
doing? Can I help with anything? Are there any loads going east?" Like, stand there, say hi, be
What
cordial.
can I do to help you to help me?
Yeah, let's, but yeah, anyways, it's just best practice naturally. Like, it's someone's in front of me, I'm gonna be like, "Cool, how can I help you?" If you're calling and I'm in the middle of something, let me call you back. But it's just that power of people. So
Right.
I keep telling people you don't bite, Brett.
yeah,
I mean, I've literally knocked on Brett's door and he's in the middle of a conference call, and I'm just like, and he's like,
except
and
if
that's
you're
it.
Charlie on a Thursday at 7:05 in the morning.
I don't look.
And-
You knew it was happening. You knew it was happening. I
Oh,
don't even go there, man.
I feel so
Do you know
bad.
I still haven't cut that video together along
Yeah.
with dumb Jeff's airbag video, whatever, man. Look,
Well, I know.
beat you
So you
to it.
went through, you interviewed everyone and was like introducing them, and then I
And
haven't
we only
seen
had half
anything.
the staff there. That's what
Yeah.
bummed me out because like half were gone that day. I was like, oh crap.
I know. Because like a month, you're like my wife, like 30 days prior, you're like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna be in Phoenix and we should do this." I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And then you just like showed up like, "What, bro? I told you a month ago." Like, I don't remember what I did yesterday.
It was like 3 days, Brett, but okay, you tell your story, man. It's cool.
Still, 3 days is a long time.
I know, man.
Uh,
All right, Brett,
Man.
we're gonna let you go, brother. I know you got to get the hell out of there. You
yeah.
dude, you've been here forever, and thank you for
I
doing
should look
it.
at my wife's texting me. Yep.
Oh
It's
no,
Charlie and
don't
Jeff.
don't
Yep,
tell her
it's
my
their
name,
fault.
please. Don't
Yeah.
tell her my name.
But no, let's have Juice on next week. I'll talk with them in the morning, see if we can get him on, talk
down.
about MRP and
Yeah,
go from there.
that'd be good, man. And we'll reach out to you further on that. We'll wait. Yeah,
Awesome.
next week will work. Yeah. I had thinking about it. Wait, that's Vegas. No. So, but yeah, so it's not Vegas next week. It's the week after.
Cool.
That, so we're good. Yeah, let's do
Let's
that.
do it. All right.
But thanks, man. I appreciate you, Brett. Everybody, Brett Stewart, the VP of the owner operator division of Swift. That's the dude right there. Wait, there he is up there. I forget. He's up there.
Post the number.
Oh yeah, look, man.
Look,
you were
he is
teaching me to do my
asking you
job.
to
Look at this.
call.
And
You
I'm
gotta get
screwing
rid
this
of Matt.
up. I
Gotta
got
get rid of Matt.
Lock
good
your face.
Lord.
Oh.
I'm
There it
clicking on
is.
stuff. We're fighting over buttons. There you go. Reach out to Brett Stewart. Seriously, if you're in the Phoenix area, he, and he's got a couple minutes, he may actually buy you a free cup of coffee. Just saying.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
That's my favorite. Let's go have a free cup of coffee.
Right. I remember the very first time I met you there, you're like, "Hey man, let me buy a cup of coffee." I'm like, "No, I'm good." He's like, and then he came back. He's like, "I forgot it was free."
Yeah.
The greatest thing ever. Brett, thanks so much, buddy. And we do appreciate you, man. You have a great one.
You too. Thanks, guys.
So there you go. Oh, yeah, I dig it.
notice-
So yeah.
Did you notice that he was playing with a fidget spinner?
Right.
I think that's great. You
I
were
dig
stressing
it.
him out, man. It's
Hey,
all
you know what? Let's do this thing real fast. It's been scrolling across the bottom, but I'm gonna do it right now anyhow. Watch this. Bam. So the national average went down 0.062 cents this week to 4.185. The West Coast Pad 5 went down as well, 0.036 to 4.862. That brings our fuel surcharge to 0.486. That's a drop of 1 whole penny this week. The West Coast fuel surcharge stayed at 10 cents this week because the difference between the West Coast Pad 5 and the national average is 0.677 cents this week, and that is how they determine that West Coast fuel surcharge. You can look all this information up by going to the EIA website and looking at your contract, oddly enough. You don't have to wait for anyone else to post it, not even us. It's there. It's there for you to see. You can check it out. There you go. It's been scrolling across the bottom. If anybody wants to call in, feel free to do so. We need to actually wrap this up in the next 5 minutes. Jeff and I actually have an appointment here at 8 o'clock, and we hate to rush you guys off. But so if you got questions, throw them up now. Let's get to those quick things at the end, and we will dive into those. And I'm going to get back out of the screen. Pow. How was that?
So that was a much longer conversation than we normally get. That was cool.
Yeah, we actually only anticipated 30
Man,
minutes.
Man, that just took off, didn't it?
Yeah, we talked about a lot of different things, which I think was cool. So yeah, if you guys got any questions, please throw them. We do need to wrap this up here in the next 5 minutes.
I wanted to reiterate something about that trip leasing stuff since it's been an ongoing topic.
Right.
If you have an opportunity that you think you might want to take advantage of, I think we mentioned last week on the show even that this information was bugging Charley and I because we're trying to work a deal for ourselves too. Talk to Brett. Everything's negotiable with that dude. You know, I could tell you what he's going to want though. He's going to want your plan. You know, he's going to want to see, okay, you're going to go do this. When are you going to be back? You know.
How are you going to pay for the truck?
How are you going to pay for the truck? Which for me isn't an issue. It is for Charley though.
Right.
So
but, I mean, it's a thing. And Bitcoin John, I didn't want you to think I was ignoring you on the Seabright insurance. Has anyone gotten a bill from them to pay? I was told what my cost would be, but no request to pay up. After all documents sent to Swift showing I now have coverage. They are working on the billing now. That should be coming out here pretty quick. Don't fret. It is coming.
So I want to say something about this because this is an indicator on who you guys decided to do business with. Here's why you haven't been billed yet. Because Tony Dennis at Seabright Agency was concerned that you guys were going to get double billed by Swift and then billed by him. And he did not want to put us in financial hurt.
Right.
That's why you haven't been billed yet. He needed to be sure because of his own conscience or whatever you want to call it. I just think the dude's a good guy. He was more concerned about putting us in the financial hurt than his money this week. Okay, he's interested in this long-term relationship. I know that sounds crazy these days, but he wants to make sure that he doesn't put you all in a financial bind if something weird was still going on with Transtar. So I was in Phoenix already anyway, so I went in and hammered it out with Becky, figured out what was going on. No, there's not going to be double billing. Yes, your rate at Transtar is going to be prorated down to the day that Seabright took over your coverage. And so he started the billing process, I think on Friday, probably be done by the end of the week this week, I would think. And so that's the why. And Charley, that's one hell of a good why.
Right.
The billing was delayed. I mean, he was seriously like, I don't want to bill these guys if they're not gonna be able to eat, you know. So
right.
How many people, especially in the insurance business, let's get real, you know, banks and insurance are the two people you don't only talk to when you absolutely have to, right? So that's a pretty good little testimonial on his character, I think.
And Craig, we agree. That speaks volumes on who we're working with, 100%. CW, do you know how the rental truck would work with Seabright? Yes, you just need to let them know that you're in a rental truck. They need the VIN number, the values, and they will adjust that for you accordingly for the time that you're in that truck.
Right.
You will see a difference if it's a more expensive truck or a cheaper truck, whatever.
And you need to, let them know when you take possession of that truck and when you turn it back in, because they'll prorate that for that time that you have it.
And Andrew, why do I feel like we're working for fuel surcharge money? Actually, fuel surcharge money isn't. I disagree with that statement. Fuel surcharge money is actually paying me extra above and beyond the cost of my fuel because I'm shopping for fuel, and we're doing things like using the ES Advantage card or shopping for fuel and finding the best cost of fuel. And those of us who are driving slower to increase our miles per gallon are doing that, and we're generating revenue off that fuel surcharge in addition to our contracted mileage.
Think about it this way: you have your base rate, which is depending on which contract you're on, $1.15 to $1.50, depending on where you fall in the graduation thing. And then you have fuel surcharge. Think of it this way. Think of it in terms of total profit. You're working for profit. Maximize your profit. Lower your overhead, maximize your profit. Doesn't matter if you're getting money for fuel surcharge, base rate, accessorial like additional stops, whatever. It all goes into the bottom line profit. So that's the way I look at it. And Charlie's dumbfounded. Look at that.
Yep. I'm always dumbfounded. What are you talking about? I'm like, so yeah. You guys, hate to end this short. I know we got people here, and I do apologize for that. But Jeff and I do have a meeting we need to get to after this. That's be big and important for all of us. And like,
real quick plug though, Charlie.
Yep.
We're down to the wire on the Vegas conference. If you want a seat, you need to get in there and to that email. If Charlie, you have the graphic for the email.
That thing right there, scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Please send a email to events@contractorscorner.network, not .net. Events@contractorscorner.network. We need to be solidified by tomorrow. We need to know if you're going to be there.
Yep. So it's kind of the last call. Please only send the email though if you intend to attend, because the reason why we need a good count is because we got to solidify some contract stuff with the room and things like that. So
yeah. And, for those of you who are worried about getting freight out there, reach out to Jeff or myself in the back, and we will talk to you about some possibilities on getting freight lined up and things like that. So we're working with you guys, trying to make things happen. But you got to let us know what's going on. Okay. Jeff, you got anything else, brother?
Stay curious.
Right. I'm looking through the last little bits here. All right. I think that's it, guys. You guys, again, we thank you for being here every week the way that you are. We do appreciate it. And being a part of the community that we're trying to build here. And you guys really do make it what it is. So you guys be careful. Take care of each other. No one's out there taking care of us but us. We got to look after each other. And that's what we're trying to do every day. So take that to heart and be a part of the process of building the community and making things better for all of us. We will see you next week, Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Contractors Corner. Y'all be safe. We'll see you next week.